Hi guys, welcome back to Girl Therapy. I'm your host, Nicole, and if you're watching on YouTube right now, you will notice that I am not on my couch. I am in a random bed. I'm actually in Key Largo with my family. I keep wanting to say Key West. For some reason, everyone thought we were supposed to be in Key West. We're in Key Largo. We did go to Key West yesterday, but my cousin's getting married. So we're all here for the wedding, and it's really exciting. It's actually so crazy when I think about it because I'm like, we used to just like roll around in the dirt together. He's 1 year older than me. I don't know, when you're young and you're with your cousins, like I think back to all of our memories, like I just never thought any of us would grow up, you know? So it's really exciting. My family hasn't been in Florida together in so long. My family hasn't been on vacation together in so long. So that's also really exciting. My grandparents used to have a house. I just had a coffee, so now I'm just like rambling, but like it's such a fun sentimental moment, I feel. And I miss like hanging out with my family and us all going on vacation together. Like I wish we all lived closer and we were a little bit more tight knit because we grew up so tight knit. Like I used to be inseparable from my cousins. We used to live on the same street and then we all grew up and we kind of went our separate ways, and like as much as I try to keep in touch with them, it's hard. So I'm really trying to just like lean into this. Yeah, so I'm sitting right now on my sister's bed, her and her husband's bed, because they have the good lighting in their room. Me and my mom's room is like a dungeon. So I was like, I'm just gonna record in here. And yeah, I'm also recording off my phone because I left my memory card at home. I'm just a mess recently, guys. Honestly, I'm a mess. Like all the traveling, as much as I love it, like I just got back from Coachella, and then literally 5 days before I left for Coachella, I was in Texas for a week. So I have literally been home for 4 days in April. Like I'm not even joking. I've been in my apartment for like 4 or 5 days in April. So as soon as I got home from Coachella, the next day my family came and picked me up and we drove to the Keys. So we're here until Tuesday. I left like half of my recording equipment at my apartment. So I'm just using my phone. I just want to like give you guys some life updates. Honestly, guys, like I haven't been doing well. Like, if I'm being honest, like I haven't. I'm still like happy. I'm still in good spirits, but like I've been having a lot more moments recently. I think social media has kind of been getting to me, and I've been getting like a lot of like negative comments, and I'm a very strong person, but at the end of the day, like I'm also really sensitive, and I can't ignore my mental health and just like blow everything off. Like eventually the buildup of it all, you know, it starts to get to me a little bit, and I start to be like, I hate TikTok, I hate this, but like I don't want to feel that way. I love you guys. I love TikTok. I love social media. I love making content for you guys. And I receive so many positive messages, and it sucks that unfortunately my brain fixates on the negative ones, especially when they're about my appearance. I just hate that there's this so much emphasis put on, you know, a girl's appearance. It's just like, I just want to make fun, relatable content. It's like, why do we have to comment about my weight or like what I look like? So that's just honestly been getting to me, and unfortunately that plays a role on like my mood and just everything in general. Like my thoughts will spiral. I just don't feel like myself then, and I kind of like lose my personality, and I lose my want to like film because I don't want to have the anxiety of posting and somebody commenting on my weight. Then when I can't film, you know, then I feel like I'm not serving a purpose, and then I feel useless because it's my job. Like I've been feeling a lot of imposter syndrome recently. So that's actually what we're going to talk about in today's episode. When I feel like I can't, you know, be myself on the internet, then I just am not myself. And I hate when I can't be myself. It just turns into this like negative spiral and cycle. So today we're just going to talk about like how to get out of that, because this is kind of like my own therapy session. Yeah, and I think like imposter syndrome is something that is super relatable and we all go through. But yeah, like mentally, like I haven't been doing my best, and I hate that people can feel that through the screen. I don't want to let the people get to me and keep me from posting, because a part of me was like, okay, maybe I just won't post. But why am I going to let these losers, sorry, but like if you're posting negative, if you're commenting negative things, you're a loser in my eyes. Why would I let one of these losers keep me from what makes me happy and basically get to me? Because that's what they want to do, because they don't feel good about themselves. I'm never one to let the haters win. And I actually heard this quote recently, and it was like, if they hatin', they ain't happy. If they happy, they ain't hatin'. And I'm like, that's so fucking true, because what person who's really happy with their life, with their career, with who they are, is so comfortable with who they are, hating on somebody else? It's only the people who aren't happy that try to bring people around them down so that they can feel good about themselves or feel better, or just feel like nobody has, a leg up on them. I'm not gonna let the haters win. I'm just gonna cry and thug it out. Like, that's what we do. We cry and we thug it out. I've been wanting to cry actually this whole weekend. It's literally torture being here with my family because like I want to cry but I can't. So my brother-in-law was like, what are you talking about today on girl therapy? And I was like, imposter syndrome. And he was like, I don't know what that is. And I'm like, oh my God, okay. I was just gonna jump into it, but some people might not know what imposter syndrome is, and that's totally okay. And actually, I'm going to use this episode as like a little way of educating myself as well. I don't know everything. A part of imposter syndrome is the feeling of like feeling like you need to know everything. And especially me with this podcast, I'm like, I feel like I need to know all the answers, and I need to read all the books. I need to listen to all the podcasts before I can even talk about imposter syndrome. But it's like, I'm going to educate myself and at the same time educate you guys, and we're all just going to talk about it. And that's how we learn and we grow. And I don't have to know everything, and that's okay. I'm just trying to pull up like the Google definition. I Googled what is imposter syndrome. This is what comes up. Imposter syndrome is the condition of feeling anxious and not experiencing success internally despite being high performing in external objective ways. This condition often results in people feeling like a fraud, a phony, and doubting their abilities. I feel this to my core. Unfortunately, I experience imposter syndrome a lot, especially when I start to get a lot of negative comments is when I start to feel it the heaviest, because I really start to doubt myself. If I didn't already doubt myself enough, because I'm new in this space, I'm building my career. And honestly, being an influencer hasn't been around that long. It hasn't been a career option for that long for people. People fall into it, but no one was like, hey, I can like make a career off my platform. I feel like that's relatively new. Like, we all still don't really know what we're doing. We are all just trying to find longevity in this. I think when you are in this role, you can kind of be like, what am I doing? Like, am I doing everything right? Just like, am I worthy of this? Am I worthy of having this following, these people around me? And like, for somebody who is maybe like jumping into a new career or like trying something new, you can also feel these things too. It's like, am I worthy of being a leader? Am I worthy of having a team? Am I worthy of even going for this job that I know nothing about? Am I worthy of applying for this? Am I worthy of getting this? Am I worthy of, wanting my dreams and my success? And I'm here to tell you, you absolutely are worthy. But imposter syndrome is like knowing these stone cold facts, like knowing these truths, but despite that, not believing them. I can look at how much I've grown. I can sit here and be like, I almost have 500,000 people following me on TikTok, but I'm still not good enough. I'm not worthy of that. Even though I can sit here and be like, 500,000 people follow me on TikTok just to hear me talk and follow my life. That's an accomplishment. But for me, I'm just kind of like comparing myself to others who have millions of other followers. If I do that, of course I'm going to feel like an imposter. I'm going to always feel like not good enough. There's a lot of anxiety tied up in imposter syndrome. I used to experience really bad anxiety. Anxiety is like the fear of the unknown. So whenever I'd be like anxious about like what things that I say, like, are people gonna combat what I say? Are people not gonna agree with what I say? Are people going to think that what I say is wrong? And that causes anxiety. But at the end of the day, it's like, yeah, people are probably not gonna agree, and I'm just merely putting out my opinion. The anxiety that can come with everything I say and post on the internet has been a lot stronger. The voices have been really loud, and I fucking hate that. We want to talk about how to overcome imposter syndrome. I thought it was also really interesting. I read this as well, that women experience imposter syndrome way more frequently than men. Imposter syndrome essentially is like feeling like an imposter. And for women in this society, it's so hard to feel like what you're doing is correct, right? We are taught to invest in our skincare, our makeup, our hair, our nails, like do all these things to make ourselves feel accepted and feminine. But then if you do too much of it, you come off as like vain or into yourself or whatever. Or it's like, women now are like independent and businesswomen and bosses, girl bosses. But then if you're too much of a girl boss, if you're too independent, men won't want you, or men will be turned off by that. If you are really loud or funny or whatever, like you have like a really outgoing personality, we want that, right? Like you want a woman who like knows what she wants. But then if you're too much, then you come off as bitchy or a know-it-all or whatever. So it's so hard as a woman to like to fit in with society and like do the right thing. And I think we constantly are doubting ourselves, and we're constantly, you know, it's not even just like, oh, how do the men feel? It's like also like other women judging women. And that's another thing as well. I just feel like women have it so hard in this sense, especially like high achieving women. And it says, this is from Psychology Today. I don't know how reputable this is, but these are just like ideas, right? So like imposter syndrome was first recorded in high achieving women in the 1970s. While imposter syndrome is still more prevalent among women, and specifically women of color, men are also susceptible to developing this mindset, of course. So, and I really thought this was interesting as well. The article goes to say that imposter syndrome can be closely related to perfectionism, in which people feel pressure to perform at their absolute best 100% of the time. And when they don't, they feel incompetent and anxious. It's helpful, although difficult, for people to change the way they view perfection to combat imposter syndrome. So like, I grew up in a very competitive environment. My father owned a martial arts studio, and I grew up competing in martial arts. I grew up essentially like he wanted me to be the best at everything. And I think any parent wants their like kids to be the best, but to a point where it's like it can impact you negatively. Just from a very young age, at 3 years old, it was like I had to win. I had to, you know, I had to always be achieving the next belt. I'm also just like a competitive person by nature. Why it's getting to me so much recently is that like I post a lot about fitness and stuff on my Instagram and my TikTok, and my health and wellness and balance and all these things. And I am a really healthy person. I work out a lot. I take my health very seriously, and I love working out. And I'm used to like my body always looking a certain way. I have abs. I am very athletic. People expect to see me with abs every single day. But it's like on days that I'm bloated or gain a little bit of weight, or I can't run as far or lift as heavy, or, you know, whatever it is, it's like these last few weeks, I haven't really been in control of like my workout schedule as much and like what I've been eating. I've just been a little bit more laid back. Like I've just been enjoying life, quite honestly. And I just haven't been so like glued to the gym, and that's healthy and that's fine. That's life. And it's just like, it sucks that there's people who will just be like, wow, you got fat or you gained so much weight. And I'm sorry that this has been what I've been talking about recently, but like, it's also just giving me like this major imposter syndrome, because it's like, if I'm not 100% perfect all the time, I'm not worthy. And that is like what is really ingrained, I think, in imposter syndrome. Like I think that's the root of it, is just not feeling worthy and not feeling good enough. That's kind of something that I've told myself for a really long time. And that's something that I've really been working on. And I could say like the root of it is like, you know, how I was like raised and my upbringing, and like constantly like get acceptance from my father and like receive his love, and like, you know, I wasn't good enough for him to stick around, and all these things. The same with like my social media. It's like, if a video doesn't do well, you know, if I'm not constantly getting the same amount of views, like if I have a day where I get a lot of views and the next day I'm getting like none, then the imposter syndrome kicks in, and it's like, okay, well, you're not good enough, you're not doing things right, something's wrong, you shouldn't even post if you're not getting X amount of views, you should take this video down, you should hide this video because it didn't perform well. And that sucks. Like, that's not how I want to feel. I am worthy of whatever it is that I want to talk about or post, regardless of how many views or likes it gets, regardless of how many people, you know, believe what I say or like what I say. And I'm worthy regardless of how I look. Oh, suddenly I gained 5 pounds and I'm not worthy. Like, that sucks to feel that way. I'm just so mad at myself for letting it get to me. But at the same time, like, I'm just fucking human. And I think that like this is what's relatable, and I think a lot of people can relate to feeling this way. And I'm sorry if like, again, I want to keep apologizing, because I just feel like, who wants to listen to me cry on my podcast? My like thing that I was constantly telling myself was like, I'm not good enough. That's where my imposter syndrome is rooted in. So Psychology Today also surveyed a bunch of women to kind of like figure out what they're telling themselves, like what their inner critic is saying to themselves. And a lot of women were saying like, I have to prove myself, which I think a lot of women feel. We constantly feel like we have to prove ourselves. I need to know everything. Again, like, I think women just get critiqued so hard and we feel like we have to know everything or have all the right answers. Otherwise, people are going to think we're stupid or we're wrong, or people are going to be like, oh, well, that was a woman. Men, I'm not good enough. I'm not smart enough. I'm an imposter. I don't have what it takes to take the lead. And I hate when I feel that way because I feel like I'm such a leader. And when I follow, it just doesn't feel right. Sometimes I'm like, should I be leading these people when I don't even know what I'm doing? I don't deserve to be here. Men don't take me seriously. My gender holds me back. So these are like a lot of the things that women have told themselves, these inner critical, narratives that were coming up in our own heads. And unfortunately, like when you tell yourself that constantly every single day, that becomes your reality. You will start to believe your thoughts. Now that we know that like all of that negative self-talk is bullshit, it's real, but it's bullshit, because you could be the most successful person in the world with your degree and all these things and still have these thoughts. Like, you're valid for that, but it's not true. And if you're telling yourself this every single day, you will believe it. And people around you will also believe it and reflect that to you. So we're going to say fuck you to the negative thoughts, and this is what we do. So I also looked up some ways to kick imposter syndrome to the curb. So the first thing is focusing on facts, and I really like that because it's like people who say I don't deserve to be here, I don't deserve this or that. It's like, but you do, because somebody, whether you applied for the job, somebody saw all these things that you have to offer. Somebody was like, yeah, they have this experience. Somebody liked what they saw and they hired you for a reason. That's a stone cold fact right there. For me, it's like, I have almost 500,000 followers. There are 500,000 people who like me, who back up who want to follow my life. There's my evidence right there. If I wasn't worthy of that, I wouldn't have been given that platform. It wouldn't have happened. And I think like a lot of things I say, like a lot are just like, oh, it was luck, it was this or it's that. But it's like, I put in the fucking work. And it's not like I posted one video and then I have 500,000 followers. It's like, I have posted thousands of videos on every platform, and I work really hard, and I deserve to be where I am. So I just like look at like all the videos, like how many hours I've put into editing and posting, just a lot of the work I've done. So it's like, I absolutely deserve to be here. So for you, it's like, focus on the facts, whether you're having imposters, whatever it is you're having imposter syndrome about. Look at the stone cold facts and look at your own criteria. Like, look at your qualifications, because you are qualified. We're all qualified in our own way. Whether if it's like, for me in this podcast, it's like, I've experienced life. I'm not sitting here being like I'm a expert, but it's like, I've experienced life, so I'm qualified to talk about it. I'm not saying you have to follow my advice or do what I say, but it's like, that is a qualification. Acknowledging and releasing feelings. I love that. I think it's so important to acknowledge how you're feeling, put it out there, express why you're feeling that way, feel your feels, cry a little bit. I haven't been able to cry. Thank God I got those like tears out because I feel a little bit better already. Work past them. Otherwise, if you don't acknowledge the feelings and you just keep like shoving it aside, you're never going to work through it. So it's important to be like, hey, I feel this way. You can even have this talk with yourself or somebody else. Or another thing I think it says is to share it with somebody else, because I think a lot of people listen to what you say and be like, I don't feel that way at all, or I don't see you in that way at all. Like, we are our harshest critics. So getting the opinion of somebody else who's close to you, who maybe even looks up to you. Like, I'm sure I know a lot of people, like whenever I talk to Livia and tell her how I feel, she's like, so many people would love to be in your position, would love to have the platform that you have, and they're working for that. People look at me and they think like, I'm really successful and I've accomplished all these things and I'm like a boss. And your perception of yourself is not always true, because we are so hard on ourselves. That also comes with like, stop comparing yourself to others. Like, just when I was at Coachella, I was in a house with a bunch of influencers. All of them had like 1 million plus followers, and I'm just kind of like the underdog there. And if I compare myself to all of them, of course I'm going to start to feel like I'm not worthy, or that I'm not deserving, or I'm not doing enough, or I'm not working hard enough. But it's like, we're all on our own path, and one person having more followers than another doesn't mean that they're more successful. It doesn't mean that they're better, they're more worthy, or they're more deserving. And then that's another thing. It's like learning from team members. It's like learning from anybody around you. I can look at the people around me who have more followers, who have been in the game for longer than me, and ask them to give me some tips, ask them for help, look at their platform as guidance. What are they doing right? Instead of looking at it like, oh, they have all these followers. Yeah, I can't do that. No, it's like I can 100% do what everybody else is doing, and so can you. Nobody was put on this planet and born with just the ability to do what they're doing. You know, doctors didn't just pop out and like they were a doctor. It's like, no, they had to go to school, they had to learn, they had to make mistakes, they had to go through all these things to get to where they wanted to be. We all have to learn. We all need to make mistakes. Just because you're not born with like the natural ability to do something doesn't mean you're not worthy of wanting it or achieving it. I have so many things that I want to achieve. Nobody in my family has done them. Nobody around me has done them. I have never done them myself. That doesn't mean I can't do it or I'm not worthy of that. Reframing negative thoughts. Any negative thoughts you have, get them out there, maybe say them out loud and then reframe them. If I'm saying to myself, I'm not good enough, I'm not worthy, how about I flip that and say, I am worthy, I am good enough, I have things to say that are valuable. People like what I have to say. People follow me for what I have to say. People look up to me. I am inspiring. I can accomplish all the dreams that I want. But I just think the biggest one is I am worthy. And I am someone who people stick around for. That's a big one for me. I am somebody that people show up for, and I am worthy. You need to figure out your affirmations, because whenever you have one of those negative thoughts, maybe say it out loud and then realize how disgusting it sounds out loud. Like I've literally sat there and think, I'm not worthy. What? That sounds crazy when you say it out loud. In your brain, it doesn't sound as crazy because your brain will literally try to convince you that. But if you say it out loud, if I was like, I'm unlovable, that's insane. I'm obviously lovable. So are you. We're all worthy of love. So say your negative thoughts out loud and then be like, that's crazy. Who told you that? Literally get in a fight with yourself. Because when you say it out loud, it does sound a lot crazier. Find a mentor. That's actually something that I've never had. I've had people who are older who I look up to, but never had like a mentor. I think I want to get a therapist though. That's like what I think I need to do. I've never been to therapy, but I think having somebody's unbiased opinion and perspective and just that safe space to talk to somebody about how I'm feeling will obviously do wonders for me, especially when I'm navigating this thing that isn't normal. Like I don't think like having to deal with the opinions and worry about how thousands of people are perceiving me every single day is not a normal thing that I was ever taught to deal with, especially when I was younger. Like there was no coping mechanism for that ever. I now have to figure out how I can cope with that and be okay with it, because this is my career and I love this so much. Yeah, I need to find better ways to cope, and I think talking to a therapist obviously would be amazing. Not even to like understand the root of it, because I think I understand that, and I can look at something and, you know, be like, that person who's saying negative things about me or to me is obviously projecting or doesn't feel good about themselves. Like I can say that out loud, I can know that, but it doesn't change the way that it makes me feel. So I think just talking to somebody and just being able to tell them how I feel would be really helpful. And I think you as well, like if you could talk to a professional, or maybe this podcast will help you, but I'm not a professional, remember, could be really helpful as well to fight imposter syndrome. Celebrating a win. This is interesting because I feel like also what triggers imposter syndrome is celebrating a win or a big accomplishment. It's like, I remember when I hit 400K, like Livy was so excited. My friends were so excited for me. They're like, we need to celebrate, yada, yada, yada. But then I'm like, but that's not good enough. Like, it's so dumb that I'm celebrating 400K. I should have been there a year ago. And then my imposter syndrome kicks in. Or even on like days like my birthday. Like I feel like this is why like, whenever my birthday's coming up, I get really excited and I like want to plan all these things. And like I have like these really high expectations. I want to do like this with my friends, or this or this or this. And I think like I'm the queen, which I am. I'm like the Aries queen. And if you're an Aries, you're also a queen. But well, everybody is a queen, okay? I am really excited, but then when the day gets closer and closer and it's my actual birthday, I like downplay it and I start to feel like a little bit of an imposter. And I'm like, okay, well, my birthday is not that important. Like, it's not that big of a deal, guys. Like, after I've been hyping it up forever. And it's just that imposter syndrome kicking in where it's like, am I worthy of these people surrounding me? Am I worthy of these people coming together for me or wanting to be there for me? And of course I am, because I would be there for the people around me as well. Like I want everybody to feel special on their birthday, and I'm worthy of feeling special on my birthday too. And this birthday, I think I did a pretty good job of combating my imposter syndrome But I do think that after my birthday, I started to feel a little bit like guilty in a way. And I was just kind of like, should I have done that? Should I have gone on that trip? Like, should I have made all these people like come out on my birthday for me, even though like I hope everybody had fun type of vibe, whatever. So celebrating a win, I think, is a good way to combat it and really lean into it, even if it's a small thing, even like a little raise or a little promotion, or I don't know, like a little win for the day, whatever it was. If you went on like a little bit of a longer run, it's like, that's amazing. That's an accomplishment. You can keep it to yourself too, I think. Give yourself like a little pat on the back every single day. Wow, I did really good at this today. Maybe now at the end of every single day, I'm going to be like, what did I do today that I'm proud of myself for? Give myself some more praise, because I'm really good at being hard on myself. I'm not good at praising myself. I'm really good at like pointing out the negatives and never the positives. And I think it's really easy to focus on the negatives, but the positives are what we want to focus on. Those are that condition like our thoughts in our brains. So yeah, those are like all the little ways to kick imposter syndrome. But I just want you to feel so validated if you are experiencing imposter syndrome, because it's so normal. Imposter syndrome is such a bitch. It's just all in your mindset and how you think about things. And I'm just so over feeling this way. Like, it takes a lot more energy to be upset and to beat yourself up than it does to be happy and proud of yourself. I don't like feeling this way because I don't want anybody to feel this way. And I want people to feel inspired by me. And I know people do feel inspired by me. When these thoughts kick in, obviously, I start to feel like maybe I'm not worthy, because like, how could I be someone's inspiration when I've like put on a little bit of weight? Doesn't mean I know nothing about health and fitness. Doesn't mean I don't know how to eat healthy. Doesn't mean I don't know how to work out. Doesn't mean I'm not good at yoga or all these things just because I put on a little bit of weight. I think that just about wraps up today's episode. I'm sweating. I don't think they have the AC on in here. Like, something happened. I hope that this episode came across as more positive than negative. Like, I hate when I focus on negative things or talk about negative things, or even cry or feel like my energy's low, because I want you guys to come to my platform and feel good. So I hope in a way that like I feel better, honestly, talking about this. I feel better now. Like, I feel better that I've talked about imposter syndrome and really like let it out there and been like, I'm feeling this way and it's normal and this is how we can deal with it together. Hopefully if you've been feeling down on yourself or like you're not deserving or worthy, I hope this episode helped you realize that you are, because you absolutely are. And I'm so proud of you for everything you've done, and I'm proud of myself. We're just going to keep crushing our goals and our dreams together, and we're absolutely deserving of that. And next week you will see me in my apartment. Hopefully my mental health will be a little bit better. I'm going to try to be less of a perfectionist. I love you guys so much. And I will see you all next week on our next episode of Girl Therapy. Make sure you leave me a review, 5-star rating. I'm worthy of that. Follow me on YouTube and Instagram and TikTok and all the platforms. I love you guys so much. See you next week.